That is a very common type of staff work that you see in Shaolin style martial arts. The spin around in the air to strike down is something I've never done. And we're doing this like reverse thrust, which is really cool. And he does a spin in the air. What's up guys, my name is Noah Fleiter. I'm an actor and martial artist, and today we're recreating Black Myth Wukong. That outward block was really fun to do with the bow staff. And then catching the blade with your, I was barefoot because I'm in the dojo, but I guess if you have boots on, it's really ballsy. You're a descendant one, so it's okay, right? You can grab with whatever. I would love if we did full recreations of cutscenes, but I don't know if you guys would enjoy that. You let me know if I should do that or not. Okay, this is the first clip from Black Myth Wukong that we recreated. This was a long combination that my team gave me. It's 5 main moves, and it was so damn difficult to do. A little bit of history behind the video game and the martial arts is it's very heavily Chinese focused. So I don't really want to say wushu because I think it's a lot more than just performative wushu that's used in this, but the Shaolin monks actually have different animal styles that they've created in their martial arts, and monkey style is a very popular martial arts style in the Shaolin Temple. Interesting enough, there aren't a lot of like monkey characteristics that are really used in the performances. It is just Chinese wushu style bow staff movements that I had to do, which I have a little bit of background doing it, but it's not my forte. So it was a little tricky for me. So trying to find the little moments that made it unique to the character was really difficult to like walk it, get it right. Just the simple things like the way he opens up the bow staff holding his arm out, brings it around is really, really important. I would have loved if I could have gotten my footwork a little bit cleaner for this, but the way that they film it for motion capture is they film it one move at a time in studio. They are not doing this in studio, all movements back to back to back. Maybe they are, but I know for sure they're doing it in single movement, because if the character gets disrupted, let's say on the third hit of the combination, they need to have that third hit retract back and the combo is done. So there's almost very little point to recording it all in one fluid motion, all 5 hits. They need move 1 and 2 done. Then they need move 2 and 3 done. Then 3 and 4, then 5, and then maybe they get 1 where it's all blended together, possibly. I kind of did it the harder way just because my team sourced the footage and made me try it. Alec. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, Wukong staff spin. This is like a standard martial arts bow staff spin a lot of people know how to do. It's a single hand spin. It's very common to do a double hand spin, probably more common. I was dumb and I brought the heaviest staff I have. I don't practice with performance bow staffs, and a lot of sport karate martial artists use performance staffs, and they're like made out of carbon fiber. They're super thin, very lightweight, and you can do these insane spins. So if you look it up on YouTube, there are some insane spinners. I don't know what to call them, but they can spin the bow staff like crazy because it's so light. I personally prefer something with a little bit more weight when I'm doing film fighting, and I want something that feels real and it has a little bit of weight. It's real wood, it's a real bow staff. It was so damn hard to move it that quickly. But I wish I brought a performance bow staff. I would have much rather used that if I was doing more motion capture, because this is a mythological character. He should be able to move at a heightened speed for everything. So for the video game, it makes total sense. Next one is called the Soaring Strike. Oh, this one was actually really fun for me to do. Obviously, I'm not doing it at that speed, but everything is speed ramped in the video game. The frames are much quicker in a video game. And again, when I'm recreating, I'm doing frame by frame breakdowns. He's running, spin into that strike. I honestly don't know how I did it. I just kind of blacked out and I was like, okay, spin, and hit. In karate class, a lot of people learn how to do a bow stab spinning above their head, but I've never had to do that jumping forward and smacking somebody. Now I know I can do that. Resolute strike is the next one. Oh, this one was really tricky for me. There's that floating time in the air that makes this movement a little bit different because he's floating and spinning down. Because we're in the dojo, the height of my bow staff was also gonna hit the ceiling too. So that's something I didn't consider. So I had to be careful on how high I swung the bow staff. So when you're doing motion capture, make sure the ceiling is big enough for the weapons. I'm unsatisfied with my performance on that. What I would have done to make my performance a little bit better is that swing back. I really took it easy because I was unsure of the roof. I was trying not to do a traditional wushu drop stance because most Chinese styles, when they do that hit on the floor, they do something called a drop stance. That character did not do it. And also, my legs were getting destroyed. I was so sore already. I would have liked to have made that drop hit even more vicious, but I'll get it on the next one. It's okay. Okay, so I'm doing heavy attacks in smash stance. Oh yeah, that one was crazy to do. That is a very common type of staff work that you see in Shaolin style martial arts, where they place the staff into the floor and they spin around and actually strike. I've seen Shaolin monks do that kind of movement. The tricky part was I was a little nervous about puncturing the floor in here, so I babied that movement just a tad bit. Even if I had gotten that complete stick, the spin around in the air to strike down is something I've never done. So difficulty for somebody first time ever doing that, even though I'm a martial artist, I would have given that like an 8 out of 10. It was very difficult to do. I would love to actually try to clean something like that up and incorporate that. That's a really fun movement. But yeah, it was hard. Okay, so the next one is a heavy attack in pillar stance. Oh my God, that pillar stance was like, I'm pretty sure they had to have like just cheat that pillar stance up the bow staff. Like, I don't even know how they would do that, but they're definitely not doing that, just full motion capture. This is my version. Pillar stance. I was like, there's no way I'm doing that. I don't know how to. That's not a real movement. That's not a human movement. That is a full-on video game movement. I'm using that in the fight. Pillar stance, bitch. Okay, so this one was the tactical retreat. So it's the hit forward, and just the way that he jumps back, that smoothness in the jump back is really pretty. Yeah, watching myself also now nitpicking, I would have loved to tighten up my footwork. And at the very end, I stumbled just slightly. The way that I try to get my footing right, I know as a motion capture performer, the animators would have loved if I had a solid stance at the very end, 1-2. At this point in the day, I think my legs were just getting fried. I would have loved to have cleaned up that step. I love the way that Wukong does that step back. It feels very gentle in the way he's gliding back. It's very nice. This is the tactical retreat with the forceful thrust. Let's watch it. We're retreating backwards and we're doing this like reverse thrust, which is really cool. And he does a spin in the air. That part was really tricky. I think this is another movement that they broke down where they did it move by move. I really love that reverse stab, but I did not get that first spin in the air. The way I would have done it is breaking it down into one individual hit before I did it. Super fun though. Okay, so this is heavy attack and thrust stance. Yeah, that felt really powerful. So I love the heavy spin. You can almost even tell the spin was a little slower to emphasize the heaviness of the weapon. That thrust is vicious. Like, you get hit by that, your organs are getting shot. There's no, yeah. Okay, so there are a few mystic powers in Wukong, and one of them is that you can immobilize your opponents. literally just cast a spell. They are paralyzed, and then you mess them up. Oh, it's just a barrage of hits. I used to always think, because I would train all these weapons, and I'm like, man, the thing I don't like about staff work is that everybody just uses it as like a show-off thing where you're spinning it all the time. I think that martial arts should be an artistic approach to how to have combat reaction. But I'm like, combat is the element, the core element of this art. So I always felt like the bow staff wasn't a very powerfully used weapon from what I saw most people do in sport karate. What I started to really find was maybe if I use those twirls to generate power into like a finishing hit, then I'm like, okay, I can justify the twirls. And they feel really cool. They're visually pleasing to watch, but there's a purpose on how they generate this power into these big hits. Otherwise, why not just do the hit? I think Black Myth Wukong is a perfect example of generating power with the twirls into a final hit. So that's all he kind of does. So I'm loving it. So for this one, I just swung it around as much as I could. All the twirls into final hits, bringing it back Wukong style. I wish I could just do that to anybody I didn't like. Immobilize, and they just freeze. Ah! Okay, so this is Edon Flow's movements. Oh man, he's got this berserker type blade that's insane. I love the use of the acrobatic movements where he's still jumping, but it feels really heavy. It's a much larger weapon than what the Descend one was using, and it should feel vicious. I hope. I haven't. You guys are gonna get mad at me. I haven't played the game yet. I really want to play. I've had zero time, but watching it, I love that there is a difference in the size of the weapons, the pacing of the character, but I also hope that the damage is much higher on this character as well too. So this one was really fun for me to recreate here. Didn't have the size of the blade, but I tried to create this heaviness and a different pacing for the character too. I would honestly play that character. That was really fun. Okay, so this next one is Umbrella Abyss. He looks like a different type of monkey, but monkey with a blade. Definitely still has that speed element to it-ish, but it's still a heavy bladed weapon. There's a weight to the movement that I really enjoyed. I think this was my favorite one to recreate because there was this like heaviness to the weapon, but still the speed element was really fun for me. Definitely was getting tired at this point in the day. There was so much to get through for us on that day, but I love trying to dirty up my movements a little bit, but making sure you can still see everything. These are very different movements than I'm used to because they're doing these jump back spins that I've never done. It was different, it was awkward, but love how it turned out in the game. Big fan. Okay, this next character is Golden Lining. Love it. Yeah, this is a very Chinese weapon. It's that staff with a giant dagger blade at the end of it. There is a Chinese name. I am drawing a blank. I don't remember the name. I do not specialize in it and I've never trained with it, but it is super cool to see. I actually remember seeing it for the first time in one of my favorite childhood mangas. It's called Shaman King, but one of the characters uses that weapon. I thought it was the coolest thing. He was a warlord, but that's like what you kind of see this weapon resemble with characters like that. Oh, I got warlord energy. I just wanted my back to be big as hell. I just wanted that pose where I'm like, put the staff down, my back just looks big. The initial cuts are fun. I think the transition and the stances again could have been a little cleaner. I think the way that I transitioned the hands from the right hand as the lead to the left hand as the lead could have been a little smoother on my end too. The most important thing was that left upper strike. I wanted that to feel really strong because the first time I did it, didn't feel strong. So I think this was a stronger version of that cut into the swing. That third beat where I do this upward swinging motion, I didn't want to just go through it into the next hit. I wanted to show the hit. So there's like a slight pause into the next movement. I think that's important to show your hits because that's not a rolling movement where we just hit and start spinning. Otherwise it'll just look like a spin. But yeah, this one was also really fun for me to recreate. So my overall opinion of Black Myth Wukong, I cannot wait to play this game. If you guys have played and you're enjoying it, please let me know in the comments below. Convince me, I will make the time to play. But I've heard there are some amazing cutscenes in this game. If you guys want to see me recreate those, let me know. And remember to like, comment, and subscribe on the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one.